The Boss GX10 and GX100 offer some very flexible options when it comes to saving patches within them. So let's have a look at the different options we have in front of us here. So you can see that on the left hand side of my patch here, I've got this letter U. Now this represents that it's a user preset. However, if I just bank down one, you can see that I've got this P. Now P represents a factory preset, and there's 33 different banks within the factory preset, and they cannot be overwritten. Now you can save them into user presets, but you cannot overwrite the actual factory presets. So I'll give you an example. So let's say for an example we have this Synthi Oct base. Now if I make some changes, I'll just use these dials just to make some changes here. When I press the right button to actually save this, I get different options in front of me here. If I press the right button, I can actually save that. But you can see that the patch wants to overwrite this preset to a user bank. It won't allow me to save it to a factory bank. So the options here are I can rename this preset. I can change where I'm going to write it to by using the number 1 knob here. I can actually change where I want to save this to. So let's say for an example, I want to save it to the next preset here. And I might just want to change the name. So there's two options here. I can either go through using the page and the select encoder, and I can actually change the letters. So let's say for an example, I want to change the characters to numerals, and I'll just make that number 2. And then to save this, I can just press the right button. So let's do that. So now it's relocated it to the user bank. So if I scroll down, you can see there's the Synthi Oct base, and there's the one I've just saved. Now let's have a look at another option here. If I press right, go back to right, say for example I want to change that name entirely, but I don't want to go through and change every single character. I can just press delete all, and it'll delete all the characters, and then I can go through and change the name. So I'll use the encoder and the page, and just in fact let me just make a space there. Space is the first character in front of the uppercase letters. Then using the dial, go across, and there you have it. Now I can press right, and that will execute, and now it's completed. Now I have the Synthi Oct base that was there originally and a new base. Now what if I wanted to switch the position of those two bases? So I've got 33.1 and then 33.2, but I want to switch them around. All I need to do is press right and then exchange, and then I can say from here I want to change Synthi Oct base. So again, press right and OK. And now that you see I've got a new base, and then Synthi Oct base is now after it because we switched positions with those two. And you can switch positions within any patch within the user banks. Now let's say for an example we wanted to insert a preset between those two bases. So let's have a look at, say, mono base cloud. Let's say we want to make that come after a new base but before Synthi Oct base. So what we can do is press right, and then this time we're going to insert. So we're going to say from the mono base cloud, and we want to insert it there. Okay, press right and OK. So now you can see that it's actually inserted it before our Synthi Oct base. So it's inserted in between a new base and Synthi Oct base. And lastly, let's look at how we can change this patch back to its factory preset. So as an example, say we've made some changes here. I'm just going to delete some of these blocks. I'm just going to click Don't Ask Again so that it won't ask me each time I want to remove one of these. Okay, so let's write that. Now I can press right 3 times and it'll just overwrite that currently selected preset. Okay, so this is what the effects chain looks like with my new written preset. But say for an example, I decide that I want to go back to the factory preset and start again because I may have made some changes that I wasn't happy with and I want to get back to where I was. All I do is press right and then initialize and then tell it which one you want, which is the currently selected one. Press execute, or you can press the right button and press OK. And now if I go into the effects blocks, you can see now it's reinstated all of the original effects within this preset as it was from the factory. So there you go. There's some pretty flexible saving options within the GX10 and GX100. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.